Welcome to Red, White, and Red. Wait, no, that's not the name of the show. Grawlix Nights, a Grawlix Podcast live show, or maybe the Grawlix Podcast live show. I'm Randy.
I'm Melanie.
And I'm Jesse.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? We decided... I'm not even going to carry the joke over. Since the DNC's happening, we're going to appeal to a different audience.
Right.
Hey, we're not doing any of that. We're going to talk about TV, movies, maybe even comics? Maybe.
Comics?
What are those? But first, how are you two doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah, pretty good.
Had to get to that early this week since last week it was like 20 minutes before I was like, oh yeah. But first, okay, so we're going to talk about some things we watched and consumed this week, and we're going to wing it. And to be honest, that may sound like a terrible idea. You've never listened to the show before then, because that's when we're at our best.
That's absolutely right. If we have a plan, it's not ever good. It's not good.
Of mice and men, and we're mice.
Mm-hmm.
And men.
Okay. Yeah. Anything exciting happened in the last week? I feel like
they made it. Sorry, they made it so that Disney can't murder you and get away with it because you got Disney Plus one time. That's nice.
Yeah.
Right. That was a weird flex. Like, listen, you agreed to the terms of service.
It's so good that got
doesn't
thrown
mean
out.
I get killed at Disney World and it's okay.
Yeah, how ridiculous.
Yeah, it's so good that they threw that or they rejected that appeal or whatever, because first off, what a morally horrible thing to try to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what a dangerous precedent that would have sent, because think of how many companies are either directly or tangentially tied to other companies under an umbrella, and if they can get you on, he wasn't even a subscriber, a trial.
Yeah.
A free month trial for Disney Plus puts him under an arbitration clause so that a lawsuit over wrongful death of a person who was not the free trial person, so that it would have impacted that. Ridiculous.
How is wrongful death like a part of a free trial for a streaming service?
Right.
What am I not reading in these TOSs?
It's so stupid. I mean, it's the idea is like, it was on, they're suing Disney as a company because it happened wherever, on this restaurant in Disney World or whatever it was. So it's the same company, so he's bound by the agreement that he, the whatever TOS that he agreed to for Disney Plus, because it's the same company. That's not the same service, man. Like, they shouldn't be able to do cross-service. That should not apply, especially when so many companies are tied into so many different services.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen, we let you watch Deadpool, so you knew bad things could happen.
Right. It's baffling. It's really baffling. But you know what? It's not surprising, because I don't care if it offends Disney adults. By the way, there's probably more Disney adults at this point than there are Disney kids. It's not too popular. Maybe it's because they don't put out anything original or interesting anymore. But not that they ever really put out anything original, but regardless.
Yeah.
It felt like an original take because we didn't know our literature.
Exactly.
But Disney's always been ruthless. They've always been ruthless. And I don't know. I just remember stories about them suing like preschools for somebody painted Mickey Mouse. Like, they had characters on the wall, and they'd sue them for, whatever.
I know that was a big concern when they took over Marvel, because they thought that the Comic-Con industry was just going to go into lockdown on anything that was Marvel properties, And they kind of have, like if you look at things like T-Public sites and whatnot, they really scrub those, you know. But Comic Cons, I, at least in the broader sense, haven't seen that crunch as bad as you might think. But maybe like the big ones, maybe like New York Comic Con and San Diego Comic Con, you know, the actual Comic Cons, the trademarked ones. They're probably policing those pretty good. But I'm surprised how quote unquote cool they've been about it, actually.
Well, there was an interesting video. It might have even been on the Corridor Digital or Corridor Crew channel. Kind of an interesting analysis around the time Steamboat Willie went into public domain, and it actually finally went into public domain, which is a big deal. Because notoriously, like the reason you have to wait so long for things to go into public domain now is because of Disney repeatedly every time it would come up, lobbying and probably buying a couple of senators and governors, or whatever they are, congressmen, congresspeople. They would change the laws and extend it, but obviously it seems like they kind of gave up on it or whatever. And the reasoning that the person on this video levied or threw out was, sorry, my speech is very like, I'm normally so articulate and free flowing with my thoughts and ideas, right? The reasoning being, back when, you know, especially the, you know, 90s, pre-90s, Disney, Mickey Mouse, that was like their bread and butter. That was the biggest part of their business. And at this point, Disney is so big, owns so many things. That's a sliver of their worth now, as opposed to like the entirety of it. So they just, it's probably not even worth it to them for them to fight it that hard. That said, I mean, they're clearly still ruthless and very litigious. So,
yeah,
Disney and Nintendo, it doesn't benefit you to cross either of those companies.
Right.
Yeah. Nintendo's been around for forever, but anyway, I was gonna say, it doesn't do them good, I would think, though, to try to police too much, at least Comic Cons and stuff, because first of all, that's a group of people that is very serious about their nerd stuff, and if you try and take it away from them, that would backfire on you badly, I would think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and also that's like free publicity. You know what I mean?
It really is. Yeah, you got people literally running around dressed up as your characters at that thing, and buying, you know, a lot of official merchandise as well as unofficial merchandise. So yeah, to be too stingy about it would probably backfire pretty heavily, especially since most of those people know how to make a YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And not that Disney's or most large companies are too concerned about making their creators or the people that work for them upset, but you attack the cons like that, you're gonna make your consumers and the people that create your content upset, and that just doesn't benefit anybody. That's my thinking anyway.
Yeah.
Leave the cons alone.
Yeah. Come on.
Hey, thanks for tuning in, by the way.
Oh,
yeah.
Do we have watchers? We have people watching us? What?
Well, I mean, no. We might have somebody listening on Helix Rock Radio at rockradio.live. But there is no one watching. Oh, there's somebody watching. Hi.
Hey! We scared
Do you think it's super creepy to like tune in and then they're like, oh, somebody's here?
Oh my goodness.
Does that say, oh, they're gone? They're
it.
really gone, actually. Yeah. They went back to zero.
Yeah. Oh,
we scared them away. Maybe doing that seems desperate. Kind of sad.
Huh?
I don't think it's desperate. I think it's ridiculous. We're like, ha ha!
We just utterly derail ourselves. Like, oh, there's a number.
Right.
That just felt like a natural segue.
Yes. We
were talking about Comic Cons, and you mentioned maybe there was a comic or something.
You're like, are they coming back? Uh, I, I read it. I did read a comic book. I read one last night. I don't know why I just seen that it was a thing, and I was like, yeah, I want to read that. So I sought it out. I will say, I know Marvel, like maybe currently or whatever, is doing some funky thing where they were locking the last page behind like a download code or something to dissuade piracy. But I feel like making it harder, either digitally and or physically, to read your comics is the last thing you want to do with an industry that traditionally seems like they're kind of desperate to get people to read them.
Wait, they were doing that with their print media?
That's what I heard. The last page, or maybe like, I don't know if it, yeah.
I know that the product has, like diminished in value, but that makes it utterly worthless.
Exactly.
Like the whole story's not even there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People were complaining because they were getting their comics and the website wasn't ready yet. And they're like, you scan the link and it takes you to like a 404 or something.
I take everything I said back, Disney.
And I'll be generous, a year. But let's be honest, 6 months to a year, definitely 2 years. None of that stuff's still going to be hosted there anyway, especially with as ruthless as companies are anymore with like, you've got, of course it's WB, but you got WB like axing Comedy Central website and like all the content off there, like just all the content that was hosted there is just gone.
Is gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't, I mean, it comes down to the thing of digital ownership, but that's also like somebody opted to go either mail order or walk into a store and buy your physical book for a reason.
Yeah.
Whereas they could pirate it or try to find it online. But that's the flip side of it is, so it makes it makes buying it physically useless, like redundant. Like, why would you do it? Not redundant, right. Just pointless.
Yeah.
The flip side is, how do you read new comics digitally now? Can you? I was trying to figure it out. I was like, I'll subscribe to a thing.
Right.
But I couldn't figure it out. Like DC used to have their app, but that I don't know what happened to that, or it just seems very inconvenient.
Well, and Comixology is now just literally Amazon. It's just Kindle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. It seems very inconvenient.
Yep.
Anyway.
So you were reading a thing. What was it?
I read Wolverine Revenge #1, which just came out.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds great.
I think it popped up, something about it popped up in my Google News or something, and I was like, Wolverine Revenge #1, and then I was like, Greg Capullo's involved. Ooh. Yeah, it's been a while since I read anything by Greg Capullo, with Greg Capullo art or really any comic. It's been a while.
Sure.
This ain't going to help radio listeners, but I'll do a little screen share.
I was going to say, who's he revenging now? Is it Sabretooth?
That's one of them.
Oh, is it?
It is one of them, yeah.
Of course it
so
is.
This released. Oh wow. I was Johnny on the spot. I read it last night. Okay. Oh. Yeah, it was released yesterday. Wow.
Wow.
Writers Jonathan Hickman. Penciler Greg Capullo.
He's good at things. He does things.
Right. I was like, oh, that's a team. That's a team of people I know.
Isn't he? He's the X-Men guy, right? So he's still doing X-Men?
Wow.
Good for you, pal.
Delete comment. Sorry, I'm doing some. We
very
rarely
spam-a-lams. Well, it looks like he's revenging on to a dinosaur in this cover. I don't know if that's what this was really about, a dinosaur at all. Was he in the Savage Land?
Okay. Yeah, it starts off he's in the Savage Land. So here's the thing. It's basically an Elseworlds. I mean, that's what does Marvel call their Elseworlds tale?
Money. I mean, they just do it, they just have the Watcher often. I suppose you could call it a what if if you want to get. But usually they
Right.
call it a what if it's a what if. Usually if it's just an alternate universe, they don't make much ado of it. Like Old Man
Right.
Wolverine or Old Man Logan. Like they didn't really. They just like, oh, here you are. You're in a
It's
new
just a story.
world. Yeah.
Right.
Everyone should have to make a big deal about it. They should be like Futurama and be like, there's the thing longer, start the what if machine. You know, they should
Right.
have to do something like that to make it fun.
When they used to just have the Watcher on the moon, and they'd be like, "Let me tell you a tale that I just watched because I'm the Watcher." Money
Yeah. Watch me make money.
to make money. Wolverine's
so-
gonna kill a guy. Shut up and take my money.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like the whole premise of this miniseries. I'm assuming it's going to be. I think it's going to be like 5, maybe 6 issues or something. Yeah, Wolverine, revenge. What else do you need to know?
Is he gonna have knife hands?
So it's non-canon. Here's the basic setup of the world that it's in. It's in like a regular kind of Marvel universe, except no one knows how it happened, as no one lived who was there. What is known is that it's like the setup doesn't matter. Here's where we're at. What is known is that as Asteroid M burned up in re-entry, Magneto. It's like I've never heard these characters before.
Who are they?
He breathed
like
his
another
last
world.
breath. When he died, Magneto,
He did an EMP, an electromagneto.
yeah, he
Hey.
released the largest EMP in the history of mankind. Then the northern hemisphere went dark. That was 10 days ago. And then it opens with Wolverine. No, it opens with some people in the Savage Land, and then reveals Wolverine's there. And Wolverine seems to have no clue that anything has happened. And the people in the Savage Land are taking Wolverine to help them. Like, there's a giant beast, and since the sky went purple, flashed purple a few days ago, it's been attacking us. Help us. So he's like going to help these people. Of course, they then run off, and then he kills a dinosaur before getting recruited by Nick Fury. And Nick Fury fills him in on like, yeah, so it's like the end times. What are you doing? And Wolverine's like, "Ugh, I'm just having fun, bub." Like, Wolverine's attitude is so ridiculous through this whole thing. He just cares about nothing. He's just like, "Ugh, whatever. I'm just here to kill things and
So
whatever."
this is already a ridiculous premise, because when they were doing the whole Asteroid M thing, like we just saw that on
Right.
X-Men 97. He was there. He got the metal pulled out of
Right.
his body, right? Spoilers.
Right.
For a thing that happened like 20 years ago, probably more like 30 years ago. Yeah, he was not just, I'm in the Savage Land doing Savage Land stuff, bub.
right. Right.
No cigar.
Yeah, there's like, he is totally carefree through this whole thing. So Nick Fury recruits him, and they're on a hella, whatever they call it, hella base flying chopper.
Oh, the
what do they
helipad,
call
yeah.
those?
Helicarrier? What's that?
Helicarrier.
Yeah.
And Wolverine's like, "Oh, it seems like you're doing all right." He's like, "Well, there were 20 helicarriers and, flying various ops when the EMP went off, and now there's 3 or something like that." And spoilers, there won't be 3 for long because they get destroyed soon. But the whole premise is like, specifically North America. Canada. Apparently Canada's pretty much gone, but North America and like the northern hemisphere is, they have no power. The EMP put everything out of commission forever, and there's one power source left on the world, the Seed, owned by. What? It's not. I don't think it was Master. Wait, is there a Mastermind in Marvel?
Master Mold?
No.
Oh, yeah, there's there's a whole bunch of things in Marvel. I want to say Mastermind is that's a character though, right?
Yeah. Okay. Mastermind.
Yeah.
He owns this thing. So
of course he does.
So Nick Fury's like, got his little team together. Wolverine, Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Captain America, and B Team. Characters like, some of them I've heard of, and the other ones I don't care. Dum Dum Dugan? Who's that? I know that name.
Dum Dum
Like,
Dugan. He's one of the Howling Commandos. He's a shield guy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he was on the B Team. But they're like, it's a heist. We're gonna go steal this thing and then take it to our side of the hemisphere and use it to power things up, or else there's gonna be billions of people dead. So then they go to this wintry place to steal this thing, and pretty much everybody gets murdered on the way in, except for Wolverine, Winter Soldier, and Captain America. I'm gonna go kind of spoilers on this, if that's all right.
Yeah.
It's just the first issue, basically setting up the revenge, because Wolverine doesn't seem too bothered by this whatever caused the Magneto situation, and the fact that there's millions of people dead and probably billions gonna die.
Who's that? I don't even have a history with him.
He just doesn't seem to care about any of this. It's so weird. And they, even when they're still on the helicarrier, Nick Fury is like, can I count on you? Are you in? It's going around, Captain America's like, of course we have to do what we can to blah, blah, blah. And Bucky's like, you know you can. And then it gets to Wolverine and he's like, what else am I going to do? It's like, okay, that's what we're doing. That's how this is. That's the perfect example of I guess kind of the humor, but also the attitude of the book.
It was this or catch up on my stories, bub.
Right. So I can't remember all the characters that were there at the end, but basically it sets up the people that he's going to need to revenge against is this mastermind, Sabretooth, because everybody except for him, Captain America and Bucky get killed, but they get taken into the base, and a bomb is implanted in all their chests, including Wolverine's.
Oh, okay.
And
they have to keep the bus at above 55 miles an hour.
Well, apparently the bomb thing is we don't want to kill you. We just want you to leave. So if you don't leave, we're going to blow up the bomb. So get out of here. But it's Sabretooth.
Really a lot of work.
Yeah.
For a no trespassing sign. Listen, we
Right.
told you to go away. We don't want to kill you, but we put a bomb in you.
One second.
Yeah, it would be much more efficient to do the bomb in a neck thing, and then your head will blow up if you pass the fence, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Or if you just get out of here, the thing will fall off and you'll be fine. But if you stick around, it's gonna blow up.
Well, they have it on. I think the idea is if you get outside of a certain range, it'll be fine. Other than the fact that there's this bomb in you.
Yeah.
But the clicker to make it explode, Deadpool's got that, because Deadpool's one of the ones as well.
Of course he is.
So
he's not gonna die.
It's Colossus, Sabretooth, Mastermind, Deadpool, and there might have been somebody else there. Those are the 4 I remember. I think there were 5 though.
Colossus is on the bad guy team.
He is, and they have a little go between. I think Colossus is the one that convinced them that not to just outright try to kill them, but to put the bomb in their chest and send them on their way.
Of Magneto, but that means that Fatal Attractions actually matters.
That's it. It's the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants or whatever is the people they were trying to steal this seed power generator thing from. So Wolverine's like, okay, well, Captain America and Bucky, you two go. Run outside. Guess I'm going to stay here because I'm Wolverine. What's a bomb going to do, I guess? But you two go, get outside the range. So then they take off, and big spoilers. Deadpool, boop, boop, and kills Captain America and Bucky. Blows them both up. And then they blow up Wolverine.
So
Why? I don't understand that they blow up Wolverine. And he's shredded up, he's gone, he's mush, and then they're just like, okay, well we did that, and they leave, and then at the end it's Wolverine's regenerating, coming back together. It's do you guys not know how this works? What are you
Right.
doing? And you're just leaving him in
Especially
there?
since like Deadpool was part of Weapon X, and they like basically based Deadpool's powers off of the research they did on Wolverine.
Yeah.
Bub. So I think
Yeah.
the revenge is he's going to be getting revenge on them.
Oh,
So
because they killed his pals who he cared so much about that he was willing to help
right,
them
Captain
out.
America and Bucky, famously
than watch his
Wolverine's
stories.
favorite
Yeah.
buddies.
All his faves.
I
You know, if he was
enjoyed
gonna
it.
lay around on a couch with a photograph, it would clearly be of one of them.
I will
Now
say
he's like, that really hurt. Now you've done it.
Now I'm mad.
I mean, maybe that's kind of the attitude. He could just be like, that could be the whole
You
revenge
haven't
that it hurt.
You haven't read 70 years worth of Wolverine stories?
It's so the artwork's fun. There's lots of blood, and apparently if it's not released, there will be released a red band version, which is like even more gory
Yeah.
of the comic book. The Snyder Cut.
Snyder Cut. He's smoking a cigar in every panel.
Right. I mean, it's in that respect, it is violent. It's gory. It's definitely a adult rated title, but the cavalier attitude of Wolverine is fun, but also it's so stupid. Like the story just seems so like it's very basic so far and kind of dumb. And it's just like, yeah, we want to see Wolverine kill a bunch of people,
Right.
or at least a bunch of people get killed around Wolverine. Either way, people are going to die.
It also sounds awesome because of how dumb it sounds.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I don't. It's not trying to do anything other than that. It's trying to.
Right.
Dumb fun is what it's going for.
They're basically piggybacking Deadpool and Wolverine and the dumb fun of that movie by putting out things that are dumb and fun, probably.
Mastermind is like the outlier for the most part, but like especially at the end, I was like, oh, we've got Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Wolverine, Colossus, Deadpool, and Sabretooth. Okay, yeah, I bet that was like, these are the characters that you need to use because people know these characters right now. Right. Deadpool movie just came out. Deadpool and Wolverine movie just came out. These are the characters.
Oh, now
you
Colossus makes sense.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Why?
Exactly.
Why? Yeah.
Not that he was in Deadpool and Wolverine much.
Yeah.
But
he's one of the 9.
He was in the other
baby.
ones. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, there you go. I read
I'm gonna piggyback your comics. I mean, it'll be, I don't know, if you don't watch it tonight, it'll be too late. But like in the next couple of days, there's a comic on Kickstarter called Balor that is written by one of our super friends, Peter from the Superior Comic Show, Peter Hart.
Oh yeah.
His third issue is coming out on Kickstarter. These are the if you're not watching, I have 2 of them already that he's kickstarted, and then the third one just got funded. I want to say today, so it's 100% funded if I read it right. And yeah, you should check it out. It's kind of, it's cool because when you watch an independent artist and an independent comic writer team kind of like continue on, you can see how they improve. I mean, you can see how they improve. And you know, I don't know, like one thing that you can say about Peter and how he approaches comics, this dude loves comics. Like he's got Spider-Man tattoos. His name is Peter. He identifies with everything Spider-Man, and he's also Irish, and so the mythology of Ireland is definitely a piece. It's like a piece of the story for sure, and it's just improving as time goes on, and it's been fun to watch. And so if you like independent comics, you should give it a look-see, because even though it's international, like the shipping, he covers the shipping. So
we should say out loud what it is called and where they can find it. Cause
Balor,
right.
and so Balor and the current Kickstarter campaign is called Valor 1 through 3, colon, a dark mythical fantasy.
I found it pretty easy just Google searching Peter, last name Harte, and Kickstarter. And this came up pretty quick. So,
and again, there's only like 3 days left, so you'd have to jump on it. But yeah.
Yeah, he used to do the Superior Comic Show podcast on Electronic Media Collective. But he's still he posts on Instagram regularly, and not as regularly on YouTube that I've noticed, but he still posts on YouTube, I think, too.
I think he'll do YouTube Shorts still, but I
Right,
haven't seen
okay.
like a long form YouTube video in a while. But yeah, he's still active.
So,
We met him through Twitter, anyways. So
yeah,
if you want to converse with him, you like that's the way to go, is either through Twitter or one of those Twitter bot clones.
right.
You mean X?
Nope. I don't know what that is.
Nope.
I don't know what that is. When I go there, I still type in twitter.com. It may redirect to some other nonsense, but I get there with twitter.com. Because I'm old. I don't like change, especially dumb ones.
Any article, even now, and it's been a little while since he changed the name, every article, even from like larger reputable news sources, will call it they'll generally call it X, formerly known as Twitter, or they'll call it Twitter, or now known as X, whatever, but they always specify Twitter somewhere.
It's Twitter. It's what used to be Twitter.
Yeah, it should be the artist formerly known as Twitter.
And right.
And X is just the symbol for that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Prince knew.
Mm-hmm. Prince knew a lot.
He did.
So what else we've been watching, consuming? Jesse, anything you've been?
Well, in the vein of
I
the
guess
comics,
you just talked about...
I just talked
Sure.
about that.
See, I do. I mentioned comics at the beginning. I knew Jesse was gonna be like, oh.
I got comic things. So I got a Death's Head figure that I'm holding up to the screen. He's awesome. He's a 6-inch figure. I had a little guy, but this one is one of those Marvel Legends. It came out during San Diego Comic-Con, and I love it because it's like the box art is like a Marvel Series 2 card, basically theme.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember
I
those
see
old
that.
Marvel
Okay.
cards, right? And and then it's, I mean, he had one of those. He had a Marvel Series 2 card. I don't know that. Yeah, they gave him a card for Series 3 and Series 4, I think. But yeah, that literally came in the mail today. So it's like awesome.
So since it has a nice fancy box, is that staying mint?
No,
in the
it's
box?
not. It's coming out of the box.
Oh,
I mean, I
no,
like
no,
I
what
like
are
the
you
box.
doing?
Don't get me wrong. I like the
Okay.
box, but yeah, this box has got to go.
You don't like it as much as torturing people on TikTok.
That's true.
Torturing
That's true.
Collectors.
Y'all
and
make
such.
me laugh.
That's funny.
That video that we watched was comic booky related, wasn't it?
It was.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't
Talk about
it?
Jesse sent us a trailer. Did that just drop today?
I don't know. I just discovered
recently.
it today. It's got to be pretty new because I'd never even heard of it.
3 weeks ago. Well, I knew this was a thing coming down the pipe. Creature Commandos, which is animated series. This was one of like when James Gunn reform.
Yeah,
Where is it
DC
at?
gun
Do we
reform.
have DC gun reform. That's a good thing we should put up on the screen. We actually have viewers now.
Yes.
DC's gun reforms. So when James Gunn got anointed to head of DC, or whatever his title is, and they announced their kind of like slate of projects in the works. Creature Commandos was one of them, which is based on a DC thing. It's very much a Suicide Squad-ish scenario, but it's an animated series, and I don't know how involved with it is. I don't know if he's like full-on showrunner or just producer or whatever, or if he wrote any of it, but yeah, the trailer came out a couple weeks ago. It's like 3 weeks old, I guess, but looks fun.
He's got
But I
Weasel.
like- He's got Weasel.
Yep.
It's the return of Weasel, baby. And Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like with
Yeah,
DC's Frankenstein.
The theme of the group is that they're not people. They're all non-people.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Some of them used to be people, so I still think they're kind of people-y, but they don't consider them people, I guess.
It's interesting in a world full of superheroes and like mutated stuff, they're still considered monsters because we
Right.
call them like Squad M or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but also known as Creature Commandos, which is a way better name. Just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know when it's gonna drop? Since this is the spooky season,
Oh.
Oh.
December.
Oh, wait, what?
It's gonna come out in December.
I didn't
I
even
saw
catch
that.
the date.
I was like,
what?
what are you doing? You're getting us
Wow.
all hyped up right now because it is the spooky season. And it comes out in December.
I still love. We dropped like 7 viewers since this is probably coincidental, but I still love the DC gun reforms gag. It's so good. Like what a way to turn people off of a stream as soon as they click on. That's what's scrolling at the bottom.
Right.
DC
We're talking
gun
about,
reform.
DC Comics. Guys, come on. You got to know.
James
Or
Gunn.
Detective Comics.
There's 2 N's in there. Come on.
Yeah.
Sorry, radio listeners. That was a visual gag.
Right.
Yeah, it looked good. It looked good. After I watched it, there was related videos, and there was a trailer from 11 months ago for a Kite Man series, which is definitely a spin-off
yeah.
of Harley Quinn. Did that ever happen,
Yeah.
or is it
That's
still
on.
happening?
Yeah, it's happened. It's on.
Oh,
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I thought we talked about it.
Did we?
did we? I
Maybe.
didn't realize it was a thing, so I might have
Because he
blocked
was a
it out.
side character in Harley Quinn, right? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
like there's a certain approach to him, and I had kind of asked about it because I was like, "That's awesome that they're giving him a series. Why? Like, is this just another?" And like my brain immediately went to Harley Quinn. I was like, "Is this just like a Harley Quinn thing? They're just going to give weird characters their own show now?"
It
Yes.
seemed like they're going to lean
Peacemaker thing?
into. It seemed like they're going to lean into. I mean, if it's airing now, yeah, I'm super curious. I do want to see that actually because, I mean, I don't know how much of the Harley Quinn team came over, but I really liked Harley Quinn. It was fun.
When I found this trailer because I was on Max today, and so like I was just digging around because I was like, okay, it's been a while since I looked for something to watch on there, and I was like, oh, what's this? Because I remembered we had just said that they really had slowed down on their animated properties, and then I saw, like, wait a minute, this is new. This looks good. This is not like the usual. It's not like they just took a property like I don't know, like recently it's Watchmen, like they did Watchmen Chapter 1 or whatever, like
Right.
they just take something, adapt it, and redo it, and this is like, oh, okay.
Well, I seen Bane in there. I'm assuming they're going to take some of the villain characters because their versions of some of those characters, including Kite Man, were great. Because most of them are so like kind of Bane is the best, and they knew it because I think that last season Bane had this whole other like subplot where he's off in some other country, and it would follow him on his adventure.
It was
And,
either Italy or Sicily, I remember, and it was making pasta because of that stupid pasta maker thing that was the focus of like entire season or something.
it
for
was
him.
like a offhanded joke, and became his whole like plot line.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
That Harley Quinn and Ivy borrowed his pasta maker, or he gave them a pasta maker for their wedding, and then the wedding something like
it was
that.
it was
didn't have-
when she was gonna marry Kite Man. I think that's what it was. He
That's
bought her
what
a
it
pasta maker,
was.
and then they
they
didn't
didn't
get married, and she kept the pasta maker.
and he wanted it back,
Yeah.
and then he ended up. I think he might have got it, and then and broke it or something. So then he was trying to get it fixed, but there was only one place that makes this part. It was this whole deal based on this stupid wedding gift
Throwaway
pasta maker
gag, huh?
joke. But that's part of what I liked about that show. And Oh, the way it handled Batman was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was.
So if Kite Man is similar in nature, I mean, it looks like it is. Yeah, I definitely want to check it out because Harley Quinn was fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be harder to do with him though, just because he's boring. He's very boring, and Harley Quinn's interesting, and he's not. So I don't know what they're gonna do to make him and his show interesting.
Right, he's not as yeah. I will agree, and that's kind of the thing though. Like he is kind of boring.
Yeah,
He's Kite Man, hell yeah, and that's like the Otherwise, he's just kind of like a Joe Schmo
yeah,
regular dude.
Well, if they approach it like they did with Harley Quinn, and you give all these other characters side
Right.
plots, then it doesn't really matter. It's just like another opportunity to have those ridiculous plot lines play out while this
Right.
other thing is happening.
Well, and even like Harley Quinn, Ivy came into it pretty early, and it was clearly like she was kind of equal footing in terms of like starring as Harley Quinn. So, yeah, exactly. They have a lot of characters to work with, obviously. Although I did hate, it was funny, but I hated their take on Swamp Thing because he's a like hair bun hipster type guy,
Oh yeah.
but he's Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, I'm glad those have not gotten axed yet. Along those lines, also watching Creature Commandos, I was like, good, because I need a new like weird, quirky, offbeat superhero show to watch because Doom Patrol ended a while ago,
Right.
and now Umbrella Academy is over.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
yeah.
Melanie was
And it
going
was
to chime in more.
not a particularly satisfying ending either. I didn't think.
It was okay. It was kind of. I mean, the season itself wasn't great, but. And we don't have to give spoilers necessarily.
I've only
But,
watched the first episode, but I'm like, whoa, they're really taking these characters in different directions. And it makes sense because of how the last season ended. But, like, oh, how are they going to do this season?
Okay, yeah, we definitely shouldn't do spoilers then. I will say where it ends up, where the characters end up, I'm not surprised about.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, I guess, but they could have done it differently.
There are some, like, it does fall into the thing, and I felt like Doom Patrol fell into this a little bit with some characters where, again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but some characters, particularly one character, ends up retreading ground with his character. I've already narrowed it down by saying his. I'll just say it. Klaus is. It's interesting where Klaus is at the beginning of the season,
Right.
and I'll spoil a little bit in that he kind of reverts, but the revert doesn't make sense. And it's like, why would you instantly have to be like, well, guess I'm just gonna be a junkie again? It doesn't make sense,
So-
and it.
I mean, like, you almost have to spoil this. So, do they get their actual, like, normal powers back? Like, their old powers back?
I don't have to. I don't have to spoil that.
Yeah, you don't even have to spoil that.
I don't have to spoil that.
I mean, they basically implied that Ben is going to make sure that happens. But
Okay, I'm trying to remember what happened. Okay, did they take the shots in the first episode?
in the first episode, yeah.
Okay. I mean, something happens as a result of that.
Oh,
Yeah. And they have, I feel like they spend a lot of time in unnecessary plot lines that don't go anywhere and don't change anything. I'm like, why? I mean, maybe they just want some drama, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens that I'm like, wow, what does this have to do with anything?
Yeah, I mean, there are really entire characters and plot lines that you could cut out and probably wouldn't affect it much. They are, and it sucks because it's only 6 episodes, and it does feel
it's
like
that
they're
model.
kind of. I think it's because their path from A to B, beginning to here's how we're ending it. I don't know, like. It's kind of short, I guess, and maybe they're just like, let's fill it with some stuff. But the things they chose to fill it with is a little odd. And I felt this way about several shows we've watched recently, and I don't know if it was, I don't know when they shot this. I don't know if it was it's got to be a budgetary thing. This one felt lower budget than the other ones, and not that it doesn't look good, or it's not that it doesn't like look good or anything. And especially considering like last season, the setting was almost entirely that hotel, but it doesn't feel like there's that many settings. It just the scope. What show were we just talking about where I said the scope technically is huge, but what we actually experience watching the show feels small. It feels like a smaller scope thing. There's something we just discussed.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Had that same issue.
Wasn't House of the Dragon, was it?
No, we haven't. I haven't caught up on the next new season of that yet. It doesn't matter. But the point is, like, it's, of course, apocalyptic scale because every season of the show is. But the scope doesn't feel that big. It kind of feels small.
No. Yeah.
Like, in writing, it's big. In execution, it doesn't feel that big. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But it was fine, I thought. I'm happier with it than I was the last season or two of Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol felt like it run out of steam and like it knew what to do with its characters like the last two seasons, and the last season especially. And then the way it ended it with those characters, I was like, oh man, what a bummer.
You're just really biased too because you don't like the butts.
I hated the zombie butts. The stupid zombie butt creatures were so stupid, and they like made. Because Doom Patrol had that thing where The Boys does the same thing, where there's got to be at least one or two just outrageous sequences that they know people are going to talk about, whether it's like people shrinking down and going into body parts, or what do they call
Exploding a whale?
the stuff?
Exploding
and it was
whale.
The
Boys. It was The Boys that has season that was like, okay, it's hugely impactful, but it also feels reined in for whatever reason.
Is that shrinking budgets? It's got to be shrinking budgets across the board, huh?
Maybe.
That'd be
especially
worth
with
looking into.
the strike.
Oh yeah,
and needing
yeah.
to get
that
things
could be
done
it.
quickly.
That could be it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
They didn't have all the people that they normally have working for them to do things.
Right. Well, it seems like if you don't have to change a lot of locations as much, then you can maybe meet a deadline a little bit faster. You know, like if it's like, oh, we've got these locations and they're all pretty accessible and we're not traveling the globe to make this happen, then we can actually churn out this content a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Interesting. But anyway, The Boys always has like an outrageous like sequence, like the farm animals, whatever.
Yeah.
Doom Patrol would do the same thing. They always had some outrageous sequence or just element. And it felt like they ran out of good ideas, so they just kept going back to the zombie butts, which was one of the worst I felt. Outrageous things. And that the zombie butts became a major plot point like 2 or 3 of the seasons. And I was like, I hate it. I don't like that.
So it's like when Doctor Who pulls a Dalek out of a hat.
Yeah.
Or another Weeping Angel story without a good reason.
Right, but unlike the Weeping Angels, the butts were never good in my opinion.
The butts were never good. The butts were always dumb. They didn't need the
fine.
Statue of Liberty butt to be dumb.
Oh, that's so bad though too. It's so bad, the Statue of Liberty. Yeah. Were you gonna say something, Melanie?
I don't know. I'm laggy. I don't know what's going on. So
Okay.
just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. No. Thank you. Sorry. There was something else.
Should have had her do her recent watch first.
Right. Yeah, I suppose so. Was there anything else you wanted to say about Umbrella Academy, Melanie? Because that was like outside of Legion, but Legion's a little bit different because even though it was often kind of a team show, it wasn't like a team show. It was Legion, right? But it had also kind of that quirkiness. But I know between like Doom Patrol and stuff that Umbrella Academy was Melanie's favorite of those.
Right.
Okay. She might be totally too lagged out.
Okay.
Um,
What else did you guys? Was there anything else you guys watched, or?
I thought there was something. If you have something, jump in. Because I'm not. I'm blanking on it right now.
Okay. The main two that I watched. Did I talk about Twisters at all last week?
I don't think so.
Okay, so
don't think so.
Yeah, my wife loves Twister. Right?
Okay.
Like that's like one of those fun facts. Like, there's certain movies that she loves, and I'm just like, why? But she loves that movie. That's like her comfort movie kind of thing for whatever reason. It's about tornadoes, but yeah.
I'm with you on the opinion, but I can understand that kind of movie being somebody's like, comfort food of movies. Yeah, I get it.
You know, I suppose it's just the ensemble cast of it all, you know, like it's an unusual cast of characters. They're kind of fun or whatever, and they're pulled together by their love of chasing tornadoes, I guess. And so anyways, Twisters, the new one, and it made major bank at the box office until Deadpool Wolverine. It was like the #1 movie for several weeks. And so I was like, well, I know Holly loves this, so I snagged the like bundle or whatever. It's like it had it had the new movie, and then you basically get the original for almost no money or whatever.
Right.
And so that I had it when it dropped, and so we watched it was it like this last weekend or whatever. And it's basically, it's not a sequel in any way, shape, or form, but they do get access to the Dorothy unit. Like in the very beginning of the movie, they have that, and they like make a point of like all this other stuff they're trying to do, and they're kind of like making fun of the Dorothy, and the one guy's like, it's the only thing that's actually field tested in our rig, and so it's like, oh, okay, so that's kind of a clever nod. And so like the movie doesn't directly tie to the first one in any other way other than the Dorothy unit is there, but it's also very clearly referencing the original movie throughout. Like there are scenes that are just about ripped from the first one, just in a new way, kind of thing.
Okay, sure.
And they go in different directions, so it's not like a shot for shot remake kind of thing, and it's also not a sequel. It follows a different character, and it's at least as good as the original, and in some ways it's better, and in other ways it's not. So it just kind of sits in about the same place as the original for me, where I'm like,
okay.
One thing that I thought it did really well was the first one kind of shows you how awful, it can be when these storms devastate an area. Like they kind of did that. In this one, they really do that. Like they really hit it home, the kind of devastation, because they go in there and they give support and stuff like that. And you see people get sucked up into the storms in this one.
Right.
It's a much bigger deal than in the first one, where like most of that stuff, if it happened at all, it didn't really happen on screen. Probably because the CGI wasn't good enough. It was good enough to make a cow flying through the air look realistic, but it couldn't quite do humans, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that was a little too uncanny valley at the time. But it was like, oh, snap, that guy's gone.
Well, and I'm assuming in the original they wanted to keep it fluffy. Yeah. That's relegated to people's backstories. That's their tragic backstories that motivates them.
Right.
But for the most part, it's a fun time chasing tornadoes.
Chasing tornadoes, we're fine. Yeah, there's times in this one where it's the same thing. It was like, why are we encouraging this behavior? This is awful. This is a terrible plan. And I think they did an okay job of kind of explaining how there's such a stark difference in the tornadoes. But it's like, how do you know that? You don't know that until it happens, like until it drops. How do you know what kind of tornado it is? And then the one guy's got a special truck that's really weighted down and even drills itself down into the earth and whatnot. It's like, this is so dumb. You do not know what kind of earth you're going to be drilling down into. Right. To anchor your truck to the earth. Well,
it's kind of like I can't remember the name of the vehicle, But there's a storm chaser on YouTube who has like a couple vehicles that are specially made and modified to do this, and it lowers down, but I don't think it drills down to the ground. I think it just lowers down so that air can't get under it and lift it up. But
okay, that makes
I don't think
makes
it
more
actually
sense than the drill
right,
thing.
right.
Yeah, and that's clearly what this guy was based off of. Was like he's a YouTuber storm chaser and does the whole thing, and he's like, "We're tornado wranglers," and he does the whole lasso thing with his finger. Yeah, it was fine. It was it was at least as good, quote unquote, as the first one.
Okay. I mean, that sounds about on what I would have expected.
Yeah. If you like the first one and you want something dumb and fun, go for it. If not, you could skip it. It's utterly skippable if you don't care about that kind of movie.
Well, they waited a little bit so that they could do the double feature, the Twister and Twister's double feature, but it's been selling out the Quasar Drive-In.
Oh, I believe.
Straight up selling out to where they've got to turn people away. So
wow,
apparently that's not a thing that usually happens.
Well, you know, like there's obvious like homages. Like in the first one, there is a drive-through scene, so it's like okay to see it in a drive-through. Dumb. That would be. I don't know. If you want nightmares, go for it.
Right.
I don't know. There's a sort of charm about that. It's like all the drive-through scenes that you see in horror movies, where it's like, oh, I'm watching a horror movie in a drive-through. There's a scene in the movie where someone dies in the drive-through. It's great. Same thing,
right?
You know, like oh, there's a tornado that happens, and there's no way we can get out in time.
I was talking about that with Melanie not long ago because she come across some post or some picture where there's some place where you can go. They project it onto a big screen by a lake, and it's a lake, so it's not quite the same. But you go like get your little flotation device, chill out in the lake, and watch Jaws. So it's kind of like that.
Yeah. So I suppose a lake would be probably okay because sharks are saltwater, but still.
I would say it's kind of like that, except different because you go to Quasar, it's not outside of the realm of possibility for a tornado to come wreck that place up. Because
it could totally have a tornado roll through there.
Dude, the reason they had that zombie, neither Dawn of the Dead and whatever double feature got canceled because that was when a tornado rolled between from Omaha up by Blair, so it rolled between us and the drive-through. So yeah, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
This is off topic and not to extend it too much. Hold on, I've got. Oh, so Melanie seems like she's totally out.
Even if she like rebooted.
Can you? Maybe she doesn't want to. Hey, Melanie. Can you like reboot the system or leave the thing and come back in or something? Because I have one more thing I did want to mention, and I don't have a ton to say about it because we haven't watched through a whole lot of it, but I think it's something that you watched, Jesse.
Oh, okay.
But I don't want to stretch this out too much.
Sure.
What I was going to say about the tornado thing is I have a client who I talk to pretty much on a weekly basis in Buffalo, and we're talking about natural disasters and stuff, and he's like, tornadoes, but if there's a tornado, can't you just get in your car and drive away from it? And I'm like, it doesn't really work that way, but I couldn't explain to him why it doesn't work that way. I was like, they're kind of erratic, and like you can't just drive away from it.
That's kind of actually the worst thing you could do.
Right. Plus, you can't put your house in your car and drive away with it.
No.
I mean, some people might be able to, but generally people can't do that.
Yeah.
But I couldn't articulate at the time why that's not a possibility. It's like, it just doesn't, you can't. It doesn't make sense. You can't do that. Is this any better, Melanie? I'm going to guess not.
The pregnant
Any
pause
better?
kind of implies no. Well, darn, if it worked out, I was going to say how amazing it was if it did work out, just because she need to probably do her amazing bit.
Right. I just wanted to say real quick then, but we can talk about it more once we actually at least finish season 1. I'm guessing it didn't work. Okay, well, give me a second and I'll tell you when it's time for science. Let me pull this up real quick. Window. I feel like this is something you would watch, Jesse. But season 1 hit Netflix because AMC dumped a lot of, at least the first seasons of a lot of their more current shows on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, I noticed that, yeah.
So we started watching An Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, yeah, I did watch the first season of that. Yeah, it was real good. And season 2's out now, too, or at least it's over. So, yeah, I'm interested in seeing season 2. I was kind of mad about it because, like, I went and bought the first season on sale because they had it for a moment on Max, and then they dropped it. Like,
yeah,
watched
I remember
the first
that.
episode.
It was real
Yeah.
short. Yeah.
But we did go
yeah.
on to finish the rest of the first season, and yeah, we really enjoyed it.
I'd heard good things, so I was curious about it. But yeah, I don't have AMC. But yeah, so the first season hit Netflix. I think we're 4, maybe 5 episodes in, so we're a good part of the way through it. So far,
Louis
I'm
is
kinda loving it.
fully a vampire because that happens still in the first episode, right? Or do they stretch that out? I can't remember how long they stretch out the turning, because as a TV series they can do that, and he's a vampire in the beginning, anyways.
Right. No, I think it was in the first episode.
Okay,
but
I really liked the twists that they did on it. Like they changed some things, and like, so like the Christian. I mean, it's not really his character, but I can't remember what his name is. They kept to it, but the Christian Slater character. I like how they did that, where they were like, "We did this before, and it was awful."
Right.
Like,
oh, and he's such a like he's the interviewer guy. He comes to it so like cynically.
Yeah.
I really like it. I've never read the books. I know the movie, of course. I like the making him black adds such a twist, and they lean into it really hard with his backstory. So they clearly had to, like, there's clearly a lot they changed. And Melanie's much more familiar with the source material than I am, so she's kind of talked about some of the things. So I can't speak to it from that perspective, but what they've done with it, like, that's kind of the main thing is, I was like, the writing's just good because it's super engaging. Like, I'm enthralled with, like, the whole backstory. It's kept my interest, and really good.
Like, making it a series, too, just, like, it takes that first book, and it just fleshes it out in a way that even the book didn't do. Like, you didn't know a lot about Louis' backstory. You knew more in the book than you did in the movie, but not that much more. And this is, like, not just having the white guy experience is so much better.
Yeah. It adds, well, it's that thing of, it's not just like the thing that people they get attached, or they get the thing people attack woke stuff for. Right. It's not just, they're just changing races or gender swapping. It's, they changed the gender or the race, but like, then they use that to explore this and make, like, I don't know.
It wasn't
leaning
just
into it like that.
It wasn't
brilliant.
Just a swap. It informed the character. The character is renewed in a way.
Right. I'm really, I'm liking it. I'm looking forward to finishing the season and then figuring out how I can legally watch the second season. Right.
When it's not just a broody, like that was the other thing is in the 90s you couldn't swing a cat without hitting a broody vampire. Like that's just, it was like the thing du jour at the time, and so like this was such a better version of Louis. Like he had I don't know, he had reasons for what he did, but also like it was more clear what they were. You know, it wasn't just
Right.
like, I just feel so deeply about everything and I just can't do
Right.
it. And I just wasn't in love with it anymore. But Claudia came, and now I'm in love with everything again. But I never stopped loving Lestat because he's my
Right.
maker. And it was just like, oh, okay, I get it. You're New Orleans, but you're still Dracula.
Right. Well, and it's not just broody moodiness. There's actually quite a bit of fun in it, and there's
Oh
some
yeah,
humor. Like occasionally, it will make me laugh out loud. Um, Lestat, the actor that plays him, like he's so like kind of has that vibe, but
yeah,
will occasionally just like really come alive and be like
yeah.
loud and kind of funny. It's like always a little shock. Yeah, really good. I like it so
Yeah,
far.
it took a while to warm up to him at first, but it was like, oh
Right.
no, I think he is Lestat. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And they really reference some things, and I'm really excited to see where season 2 goes because they already like referenced Nicholas, which was like Lestat's very first vampire that he ever made, and he was not a very powerful vampire at the very beginning, so he didn't make very good vampires.
Right. Right. Um. Well, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing.
So give me 1 second. She'll probably appreciate it if I
If you put like a icon up.
picture. Do I
Yeah.
do I want to do the Trump mugshot? I don't think I want to do the Trump
Well, while
mugshot.
you are getting that set up, I'll just throw in the very last thing that I watched, which was
Yeah, sorry, do.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is on Disney,
Oh,
and it was pretty good. If you take the last three, so the most recent Planet of the Apes movies,
uh-huh.
this kind of becomes a sequel to those. Like they even do like a really brief, like the funeral of Caesar. So like there's no speaking lines or anything, but they kind of show like the original apes, or as many of them as would have still been around, and they show kind of his final resting, and then they jump forward several generations, and so it's almost like the apes have kind of broken off into clans, and so that some of them don't even know about Caesar. And it's interesting because yet there's still, like one of the thing. I don't know how many of them you've watched. Did you watch War of the Planet of the Apes?
I I've seen two of the three. Two of the first, well,
Okay,
yeah,
the
two
first
of the
two were
three. I didn't see the last one.
they were all good. They were all good, but the first two were real good. The third one was fine. It was good. It tied itself back into the original Planet of the Apes because what happens in the original Planet of the Apes is Charlton Heston is such a weird like find because he can talk. Like he's the first human that they've found in forever that can actually speak and seems to be intelligent because the rest of them are just scavengers. They're just like feral creatures. That's kind of that starts to happen in the third movie of that new trilogy, and then in this one it's been generations, so most of them are mute. Like they don't talk. They're just kind of like cavemen now. They just kind of wander around and look for food and steal scraps and whatnot. But we follow a new ape who is part of an eagle clan, and so these apes bond with these eagles, and they're basically like falconeers or whatever you call it. The people who have like the hawks or the falcons. So it's like a whole clan of apes that like bond with these birds and train them, and it was pretty cool. And then they follow that, but then you come across this king, this like mad king who is calling himself a Caesar now, this Caesar Proximus or whatever they call him. And
Uh huh.
you start to like get into, okay, they found the armory. They found a lockdown vault of just like armory of like weapons and things. And this king wants it. And yet there is a human who can speak, and she knows all about it. Like she's actually on a mission to retrieve something from there. But she's been following this kind of motley crew of apes. Anyways, it's a fun kind of throwback to the old Apes movies while still being firmly entrenched in this new Planet of the Apes universe. And so it's kind of fun. It was fun in that it had like a probably the most like cowboys and Indians kind of vibe to it, like the most like westerny vibe to it, while still being firmly in the Planet of the Apes universe.
I'd heard good things about it, but I heard like good things after it came out, but heard
Yeah.
very little to anything of it leading up to it coming out.
Yeah, I can see why it didn't hit as big as the other ones because this is a genre film. This is, it's
Right.
like the people who love this are gonna like people who love Planet of the Apes are gonna love it. Just like people who love horror movies are gonna come out for the Conjuring films, maybe. But maybe the general like it's not for everyone anymore. Now it's for Planet of the Apes fans.
Related,
kind
but
of-
not. Sorry. I don't have it anywhere near me, but there was an article I read where they went back through some tapes that people, like various different people had made of them training their chimpanzees. And there are at least 2, possibly 3 that have spoken human words out of their mouths repeatedly, like they know what the word is that they use and they can speak it out loud, that we have on video.
Was one of them no?
I don't think
Right, that's the trigger.
That is the first word that Caesar said.
I don't recall, but it was something like the one that I gave an example of was him being like food or something like that, or
Oh, yeah.
please, or whatever. I don't know.
Well,
You want Planet of the Apes,
that's
'cause this
amazing.
is how you get
Talking
Planet of the
apes
Apes.
are amazing.
You know what else is amazing?
What?
Printed electronics. And a group of researchers at the University of Saskatchewan and Simon Fraser University have developed a material that stores up to 1,000 times more charge than current printed electronics. So this could take printed electronics past like solar cells and smartphones where they're being used and move them into more everyday items. Like the example given was a smart fridge that could communicate with the food containers that would be made with printed electronics, so that they could let you know when food is spoiled or you're running low on something. And they expect that new technology will be able to enter the market in about 7 years. Oh,
That's crazy.
I
Things move so fast now.
yeah, I know.
The fridge thing, okay.
You need the fridge thing.
The fridge thing sounds great because as soon as it's out of as soon as I forget when I bought it, which is usually maybe a week,
Less than a week. It's like a couple days later, and you're like, I don't know when I put that in there.
then I won't ever touch it again. It'll
Yeah.
slowly get pushed back into the back.
Line
So
of
that means
sight,
anything,
yep.
even anything new that's in the back or just out of eye shot, I don't trust it. I'm not gonna touch it.
Mhm.
So I tend to. There's a whole thing of cottage cheese in there. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna eat it.
You don't know where you bought that. You don't
Yeah.
remember.
And I can't buy
buying
any
it.
more cottage cheese because he won't know which cottage cheese it is, so he just won't eat any of the cottage cheeses.
But if I know they're new, I'll eat them all. I'll just eat it.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, that is amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else we want to talk about before we bounce out of here?
No, I think
No.
we did it all. We did an hour and 15 minutes of it somehow.
We've done it all.
I finished the Heisei era of Godzilla.
Woo!
I'm just gonna say that. 70s, 80s, and 90s Godzilla is awesome. It's the best.
I did.
far.
I even got a Mechagodzilla figure the other day that's now hanging in my classroom because it's one of
Ooh.
those retro, those little Kenner wannabes or whatever. But it's Mechagodzilla, and it's got the Mechagodzilla pinball machine art as the card art. So
Oh, cool.
This is one of those that actually will stay in the box. Sorry to disappoint you, TikTok, but yeah, that one will actually stay in the box because the box is actually cooler than the toy itself. What can you do?
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I don't want to. I won't prolong this episode. At some point, I'm gonna have to figure out. I'm gonna have to make something with all this Godzilla viewing I've done. That's Godzilla themed, because I watched the one I watched yesterday. I've watched 34 kaiju movies in the last 2 months.
Whew.
That's insane.
My life as a middle-aged kaiju expert.
Right.
That's
Hey,
the
we're
new
getting close.
podcast. Let's warm up the nerdsounds.com. Here we come.
Yeah.
We're getting towards
Just
Halloween.
renewed it. We still have it.
My life is a latent weeaboo.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah, Halloween's coming. You're right.
We should build you a big Godzilla costume, and then I can make a bunch of little box cities like we did that one time at that one thing we went
that
to.
was so
Yeah.
fun.
I could fill out a Godzilla costume. All right. Okay. Well, let's get. Sorry, there was a cough.
Gotcha.
Goodbye.
Let's get out of
Another
here.
cough. We're dying. Dead air.
All right.
Literal dying dead air.
I died out there. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody for listening. Grawlixpodcast.com. It's GRAWLIX podcast.com. If you want to find more, see where you can find us. You can also, we do this every week. For the most part, we take a week off once in a while. We also stream this to Helix Rock Radio. That's rockradio.live. Tomorrow, I'll be streaming on Helix Rock Radio, rockradio.live. If you like extreme metal, and you know you do, tune in. Same time as Grawlix happening here today, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Abyss.show.
Abyss.show. Thank you. Good call. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Bye-bye. Have a
Bye.
Thursdays can get bent.
They sure can.